Bro, I was in the middle of a sentence, boy. Okay, so are you going to allow me to finish my sentence?
Yes.
If you look past all of that, you will see a fascinating interview with a vulnerable human being. You know, I guess it was Nina Simone who sang the song with the chorus that says, "Oh, I'm just a soul whose intentions are good. Oh Lord, please don't let me be misunderstood." And I think the mainstream media has made a great career out of misunderstanding people and getting a negative reaction for people's thoughts and intentions being misrepresented. So as I sat down, this weekend, I sat down to watch Kanye West's interview with Piers Morgan. And as I did, it became clear to me how easy it is for us to misunderstand other people. And how quick we are to disregard what they are complaining about. We just quickly disregard what they are trying to bring attention to simply because we don't like the way they are bringing attention to it. Right? Sometimes we get so carried away by how people express themselves that we ignore what they are actually saying. And it's a complicated matter, I will admit, because on one end, people need to you need to be articulate and proper if you really want people to listen to you and take you seriously, right? But on the other hand, it is hard to expect someone in pain to care so much about being civil and articulate and respectful and moderate their tone and speech. I mean, someone who is in pain, they don't think about those things. They just want to vent. They just want to air out their frustration. And sometimes we have to be willing to sit through a tirade of inappropriate comments to get to the bottom of an issue. But tell that to Twitter and the media, right? See, I don't approve of Kanye West's tone about Jewish people. And I made it clear in one of my previous videos. I said he had issues with some Jewish people he had dealings with, and he needed closure with them. Turns out that I was right. You're welcome.
I was going to talk about all of the contracts, all of the misdealings that I dealt with as an entertainer. Being that I'm an entertainer, I've been wronged so many times by Jewish businessmen.
You know, there's a lot of shady dealings in the sport and entertainment industry, and Ye just wanted to address these issues, but his wordings were just way, way off. I mean, speak of missing the mark. And how do you bring awareness to these problems without risking offending people? Like, how do you talk about sensitive and hard topics without getting people offended? I would argue that a better approach would have been, the Dave Chappelle approach. Remember when he called out Comedy Central and asked his fans to boycott the Chappelle show until they treated him right and paid him for all the years he was unfairly being exploited? But sometimes you don't get your approach right, and it may derail your message, which is what I think is happening to Kanye West and his comment and tweet about Jewish people.
You've got to be more sophisticated with your wording. And that wording, like I said, I'm a bit sleepy, and it lacked the sophistication needed to be the true conductor that I am, because it's the conductor's job to bring people together, and that was divisive.
I believe there is probably a legitimate claim of unjust dealing happening behind the scene that is getting black entertainers screwed on a grand scale. And Ye was offended by these unjust dealings and just wanted to bring attention to them.
I need all of the top executives in Hollywood. I need the top executives at the NBA and at the NFL. We'll do those two sports specifically. And I want the top executives in music, dealing with publishing, dealing with like Spotify and Apple Music and Universal Music and all the top let's do like 5 top execs there. And I want to look at the top 10 earners in each one of those fields' contracts openly. We want to compare and contrast the contracts. And then once we open that conversation, and we need to do it on a platform live with lawyers asking questions, and we'll have the top lawyers like a Johnny Cochran, Robert Kardashian level legal team, looking at all of these contracts together. After that moment happens, then I will say, I'm sorry.
But unfortunately, he misspoke, and now no one is talking about the terrible contract dealings. Nobody is talking about the probability of black people getting screwed in the entertainment industry. Instead, we are talking about anti-Semitism and anti-Jewish insults, which I think we should point out. I'm not saying they should be disregarded, but at the same time, we should not overlook the message that is being that Kanye West is trying to pass across.
You as a white person are so stuck on the idea that what I said was offensive, which is a very caring approach. You're not sticking on the fact. You have not unpacked what happened with those contracts. I've said that, but you didn't ask me another question about it.
And one of the beautiful things I appreciate Kanye West for is his ability to acknowledge that his behavior was wrong and apologizing for it in the most sincere way I've ever seen in recent years.
I will say I'm sorry for the people that I hurt with the DEF CON, the confusion that I call. I feel like I cause hurt and confusion. And I'm sorry for the families of the people that had nothing to do with the trauma that I had been through.
Listen, say whatever you want about the man, but one thing you can't accuse him of is being fake. And in this interview, Ye was real. The dude kept it 100.
Interview adjourned. Love you.
Okay, that's the end of the interview.
He originally didn't want to apologize. He felt he had every right to offend every Jewish people because some of them had offended him. He was hoping his anti-Jewish comment would, cause Jewish people to question their relatives who run this deal and ask them why they keep screwing black athletes and black entertainers. All he wanted was to start a damn conversation. This dude just wanted to start a damn conversation about the shadiness of the music and sport industry and how it negatively impacts the lives of black players, black musicians, and black actors. I mean, he admitted that he was jealous of Jewish people.
Also, I'm envious of the Jewish people. I'm envious of how they don't abort their children. I'm envious of how they don't shoot each other in the streets and then rap about it. I'm envious of how their families stay together. I'm envious that they turn their phones off on Friday night and the family comes together. I'm envious of how they do the business together. And I want that for the darker Jews. I want that for the black people.
And he also expressed his jealousy for white people in general. And he even spoke about the unfair judgment that white people receive currently in Western society.
People get judged. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's nobody that gets judged more than a straight white male. The straight white male has the least amount of a platform to even speak. A straight white male can't say, my wife hurt me today, and because people will say, well, you're hurting women. A straight white male can't say, hey, a black employee didn't come in to work on time, because then people will say you're racist. A straight white male can't speak on a homosexual person because they'll say you're homophobic. And so I empathize with the position of the straight white male.
And if you look past the shenanigans, like if you look past all the nonsense that happened within the interview, Piers Morgan's constant interruption, which was annoying, and Ye's constant childish need for his ego to be stroked. I don't even know why.
Why would any of that?
Bro, I ain't finished. I ain't finished my sentence.
Nothing you're saying has anything to do with regret.
Hey, boy.
Don't call me boy.
Don't finish. I told you. Oh, don't treat me like a boy then. I'm going to finish my sentence of my idea.
Nothing you're saying has got anything to do with the tweet.
Cool. Bro, I was in the middle of a sentence, boy. Okay, so are you going to allow me to finish my sentence?
Yes.
If you look past all of that, you will see a fascinating interview with a vulnerable human being who you painfully have to constantly admit is actually a genius with a beautiful and intelligent mind. Kanye West, we agree.
My point is,
what led me, a person, a successful, influential, extremely attractive person to get to that point?
And I believe that this is part of the problem with the race relations in America. The conversation often gets overshadowed by unruly behavior and needless finger pointing at an entire group of people. Right? Instead of addressing the racism of one man, one politician, one particular practice, or one particular police officer, you get distracted by emotions that get unleashed on an entire race of people for probably pretty good reasons, I will admit. But the point you are trying to make get lost in the smoke of burning buildings, broken glasses, and life getting lost. And if there's one thing you should learn from Kanye West and this interview, it should be this. Be angry, but don't sin. That's a hard instruction found in the Bible. But when you start pointing fingers at an entire group of people or venting out your frustration in an erratic manner, you distract people from the point you are trying to make. Your pain may be legitimate, but your pain is not the point. The point is the issue, the circumstances that are causing you pain. And I know it's difficult, but if you want to effect change, you have to look past your pain and point people to actual issues, specific conditions, actual situations that are causing you harm and discomfort and unfairness. And you have to do it eloquently, which is something I don't think you can accuse Kanye West of doing. I mean, it's so ironic that this lyrical genius, this production maestro, this man who can do so many things with just a beat pad, doesn't really know how to articulate himself.